What's going on, guys? Budget Competitor here, and today we're going to be doing a deck profile on Eldlich, Guru, Sublich, whatever you want to call it. But before we do, I just want to let you know that I am now streaming once per week on Twitch. So on Friday, every other Friday, I will stream up my locals matches. So it can be deck profiles, trading, talking with friends, and of course the live matches, because everybody wants to go back to locals and not everybody has it. So I figured I might bring a little bit of the locals to you guys. And then every other Saturday, so the week following the Friday, if that makes sense, I will be streaming live gameplay on Twitch. So I have a mystery game coming up this week. So if any of that sounds fun to you guys and you want to come hang out, link will be in the description box below. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So starting off with the monsters, it's changed slightly since my last build. So of course we have the 2 copies of the big golden boy himself. I am thinking about maybe I should run 3 just because banishing them is a real problem, but for now I'm just keep it 2. Triple Guru, triple Fiendus, and the 1 Umastrix. I did get this down to I think 42 cards in total, which isn't bad. I wanted to get to 40, but there's just a couple cards that I really don't want to cut. Speaking of new additions to the deck, this is kind of new, but it is Nefshadal Ariel. This card is extremely powerful because the only real effect that we care about is its sent to graveyard effect, which is the banish up to 3 cards from either graveyard, and that is extremely devastating, especially against Dragon Link. For our hand traps, we have the Gamma package, the 3 Gamma and the 1 Driver. Still just an incredible hand trap. I was finally able to get my hands on them. Thank you, Logan. Followed up with 2 copies of Ash. It's still a very viable hand trap in today's metagame. And then followed up with 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Say what you will about it, I think it's a really good card. Plus it doubles as a trap card that can negate a spell and trap zone that your opponent has if it was already set to the field. So that is enough in my mind to want to play that card. Uncursed Eldland. You can hate me all you want. It's $40. I got it on a really good deal for 1, and I figured, well, if I have it, I might as well play it. I did. Out of the 4 rounds that we had, I think I drew it at least once every round, so it definitely does come up. Followed up with 1 copy of White Destiny. In my opinion, I think White Destiny is still better than Black Awakening. Even though Black Awakening does special summon from the deck, you already have 3 traps that do that already, so you definitely need one that can get it from your hand, at least if you have no other way to get it from your hand. The 3 copies of Hidden City, with technically the 4th copy of Hidden City. And now for our traps, and keep up because there is a lot of them. So we have the triple copies of Scarlet Sanguine, always run at 3. Never running less than that. 3 copies of Conquistador. In my opinion, it's probably the best Golden Land trap because it can send or destroy any face-up card in the field, not just monsters. Found that out a little while after playing this deck. 2 copies of Hakuado, and of course 1 copy of Final Battle. I was playing 2 originally, but I decided to cut this down to 1. It is searchable, heavily searchable, and you don't really need it. It's more of a game closer. Occasionally you want to use it to make sure that your sub-tier monsters' effects can't be negated. Sometimes the flip and sometimes the set effect, but most of the time you're going to be using it to close out games with your Umastrix. We have 3 copies of Dogmatic of Punishment. This is obviously the prettier one, while the other 2 are still the commons, but hey, I already had like 5 commons and I pulled a super rare, so why not? 2 copies of Solemn Judgment and 2 copies of Strike. I do have 3 of each of these, but for consistency problems and trying to keep it as close to 40 as possible, running it at 2 actually isn't that bad, and it did serve me pretty well. And to round out the main deck, I have 2 copies of Crackdown. This card is still incredibly good. It can definitely get rid of a lot of problems with Dragon Link or Eldlich or Sublich or whatever you're playing against, except for Dragoon. This doesn't deal with Dragoon, but we'll get into a way to deal with that card in a moment. And for the extra deck, quite a little bit has changed since the last one. So we're running 1 copy of the Relinquished Anima, 1 copy of IP Masquerena, and Masquerena is really good because you can use it to get into your Unicorn, which is always what you want it to be, and then Unicorn can't be destroyed by card effects. Discard a card. You could even discard, if you hard drew into your aerial, you could discard the aerial this way, shuffle the card back, and then go ahead and banish 3 cards from the graveyard, and then hopefully say GG at the end of that. And 1 copy of Phoenix, and that is it for the Link monsters. I have 2 copies of Ventus. This of course is one of our targets for the Dogmatica Punishment. Incredibly good card. Next we have the 1 copy of App Cologne. This of course is what we'd want to send if we're wanting to get the Nefshadal Aerial to our hand. 1 copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and 1 copy of Invoked Elysium. These are of course our Super Poly targets. Elysium's good for getting your Invoked Dogmatica opponent. However, I'm trying to talk right now, forgive me. But getting their monster out the field, and then this is good against Dragon Link. We have 1 copy of Pleiades, of course, because of our level 5 trap monsters. 1 copy of Drill Driver Vespacito. I did decide to take out the Doom Chimera because I just wasn't coming up. Vespacito was actually coming up more often than the Doom Chimera, oddly enough. Then I went ahead and decided to put number XX back into the deck. This actually did come up because if you can destroy your opponent's Dragoon, then you can immediately bring that Dragoon back. The 1 copy of the Rail Cannon Gustav Max, and follow that up with the Rail Cannon Juggernaut Levy. This is your game closer, of course dealing 2,000 damage, and then detaching to make this 6,000, and attack per game. And just in case that doesn't work, we always have our backup plan, which is Divine AA Zeus, and of course it is another way to get your opponent's Dragoon off the field. 2 copies of Nibiru. This of course is for Dragon Link. It doesn't necessarily shut them down, but it can, and it's also good for the invoked player because sometimes this could be relevant. Next up we have the 2 copies of Super Poly. Stay over there, Eldlich. You'll have your time one day. You'll have your time, but now's not now. So of course 2 copies of Super Poly. This of course is to make your Starving Venom Fusion Dragon or your Invoked Elysium. Incredibly strong in the format for those 2 reasons. Of course, if I could have extra space for different fusion monsters, I would definitely include a couple more just to deal with other problematic decks. Next we have 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More. This is good against your invoked player, Dragoon, Dragon Link, and others. 2 copies of Twin Twisters, of course for the mirror match, because you're going to need that for the mirror match. The 2 copies of Tick Boo. Next we have the 2 copies of Evenly Matched that I pulled from my beautiful case opening on my Twitch stream. If you guys want to see more openings like this, follow me on Twitch. Link is in the description box below. Of course, 2 copies of Paleozoic Dinomyscus. And last but not least, 1 copy of Imperial Order. Really it's just kind of for space. I guess it's good against the Sublich players, which haven't really been too many of, but it has its times. It has its times. But guys, that's going to be the end of today's deck profile and video. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you guys are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you guys would like to come follow me on social media, I am on Instagram, Discord, and Twitch. Links are in the description box below. And as always, happy dueling.